Previously, Rostam, champion of Persia, had faced down the fiercest of beasts, a lion of the wild, the thirst of the endless desert, and a dragon born of midnight shadow. But strength alone cannot win every battle. Now, as he rides deeper into the realm of Mazandaran, the world around him begins to change. Trees bloom out of season, voices echo with no speaker, and danger no longer wears the face of monsters. Sorcery awaits, and the next challenge may be his undoing. Rostam looked to the horizon. The journey was changing. These were no longer earthly challenges. The beasts he faced now were born of darkness, of magic, of the unknown. He mounted Raksh once more. Ahead lay the fourth trial, where illusion, temptation, and wicked sorcery would test not his strength, but his soul. Beyond the dragon's lair lay a strange and quiet land. The air here was still, almost sweet. Trees grew in gentle rows, their leaves bright green and whispering as if in song. Flowers bloomed along the trail. The scent of fruit and honey floated through the breeze. It was beautiful, unnaturally so. Rostam rode cautiously, his hand never far from his sword. After the chaos of the dragon, this place felt wrong. But he pressed on until he came upon a garden of silver trees and marble stones, and in the center, a woman. She was seated beneath a fig tree, her robe of fine silk, her hair woven with golden thread. Her eyes were deep, dark pools that held a promise of peace. Before her, a table of food and wine stood untouched. Her voice was soft, like the wind through the trees. "Traveler, you look weary. Come, rest, drink. You don't have to fight anymore." Rostam paused. His body ached. His lips were dry. But something in him resisted. "Who are you?" he asked. "A friend," she smiled. "A healer. I offer no harm, only comfort. A hero like you deserves it." She poured him wine, red as rubies. It shimmered unnaturally in the sunlight. Rostam stepped forward, then stopped. Raksh had not moved. His ears were back, his breath shallow. The horse trembled. Rostam looked again and saw it. The trees were not silver. They were pale and dying. The food on the table was rotting. The wine was poison, and the woman's eyes no longer held warmth. They were cold and empty, like mirrors reflecting nothing. She was a sorceress, a demon in disguise. Rostam drew his blade. The woman hissed, her form twisting, robes dissolving into smoke. Her fingers became claws, her smile a snarl. With a shriek, she lunged, dark magic bursting from her hands. But Rostam was faster. He swung with precision, slicing through the illusion. The sorceress screamed, her form shattering into mist, vanishing into the earth with a foul stench. The garden faded. The trees blackened. The sky darkened once more. Rostam stood alone among ashes, heart pounding. This labor had not tested his sword, nor his strength, but his mind, his judgment, his purity of purpose. He bowed his head in silent thanks. To have drunk the wine would have been death. And so Rostam rode once more into the shadowed mountains where a new danger waited. Not sorcery this time, but steel. A warrior of brute strength, heartless and hard as stone. The next trial would be no trick of the mind. It would be war. Beyond the cursed garden rose the foothills of Mazandaran, jagged cliffs and deep ravines carved by time and shadow. This was the domain of Olad, a towering warrior feared across the demon lands. Some said he was part human, part giant. Others claimed he had never been defeated in battle. Either way, he was no sorcerer, no monster, but a warrior of unmatched brute strength and cunning. To reach the king's prison, Rostam would need to pass through Olad's stronghold, and Olad did not take kindly to trespassers. The clash came at dawn. As Rostam rode along a narrow pass, a great boulder thundered down from the cliffs. Raksh dodged it just in time, and from the shadows above, a voice roared, "Turn back, Persian, or meet your end!" Rostam raised his eyes and saw him. Olad. He stood like a wall of muscle and iron, a spiked mace slung over one shoulder, his armor thick and black as obsidian. His gaze was hard, his presence thunderous. "I seek no quarrel," Rostam called, "but I will not turn back." Olad grinned. "Then you seek death." He leapt from the cliff like a falling star, landing with a crash that split the earth. The battle began at once. Two warriors, eye to eye, steel to steel. Their weapons clashed like hammers on anvils. The sound echoed through the valley. Rostam struck with speed and precision. Olad countered with overwhelming force. Every blow shook the stones beneath their feet. For hours they fought, swords breaking, fists flying, blood spilling. Then, Olad's mace struck Rostam's shield, shattering it in two. But Rostam did not yield. He feinted left, then drove forward, wrapping his arms around Olad's waist. With a cry of fury, he lifted the giant warrior from the ground and slammed him to the earth with a force that split stone. Olad gasped, stunned. Rostam placed his blade to the warrior's throat. "Yield." Olad stared up at him, then laughed. "You are stronger than any man I've known," he said. "Kill me or let me serve you. My strength is yours." Rostam lowered his sword. "Then fight beside me," he said, "not as a servant, but as a brother." And so, the fifth labor was won, not by death, but by honor. With Olad as his ally, Rostam learned the secret path to the demon's fortress and the truth of what lay within. The white demon himself, and the final battle that would decide the fate of Persia. But before that, one more horror awaited: a cave, a monster, and a trial of pure terror. Olad led Rostam through the high mountain passes, where the air thinned and the clouds kissed jagged peaks. Snow lined the edges of stone, and a pale mist drifted through the valleys like breath from a sleeping beast. Beyond that ridge, Olad whispered, lies the lair of Divisepid, the white demon. This was no ordinary monster. Divisepid was the warlord of Mazandaran, a towering demon with skin like bleached bone, fangs longer than daggers, and eyes that glowed with icy fire. It was he who had blinded King Kavus and imprisoned the Persian army in chains of darkness. Now, Rostam would face him, alone. They came to a dark cave, its entrance wide and jagged like a mouth frozen mid-scream. Rostam dismounted. Even Raksh refused to follow him inside. Only shadows waited within. With sword in hand, Rostam stepped forward. The darkness swallowed him. Inside, the air was cold, damp, and thick with the stench of blood and rot. Strange sounds echoed from deeper within. Growls, whispers, the clatter of unseen bones. But Rostam did not flinch. He moved like a ghost, silent and steady, until at last he reached the heart of the cave. There, atop a throne of skulls, sat Divi Sepid. The demon rose, a towering figure covered in white fur and plated bone. His breath steamed, his claws scraped stone. He smiled, cruel and slow. "Another lamb for the slaughter," he growled. Rostam said nothing. The demon lunged. Their clash shook the mountain. Blade met claw, flesh tore, blood sprayed across the walls. The demon struck with inhuman speed, but Rostam dodged, countered, struck again and again. Still, the white demon would not fall. Wounded and cornered, Rostam remembered the secret told to him by Olad. Strike his eyes. They are the source of his magic. The demon roared and charged. Rostam leapt aside, then turned and drove his dagger straight into the beast's face, blinding him. The demon howled, stumbling, thrashing wildly. With one final cry, Rostam raised his sword and brought it down upon the demon's neck, severing it clean. The white demon fell. Silence. The mountain groaned, then stilled. Rostam emerged from the cave, his armor soaked, his sword cracked, but his spirit unbroken. He held in his hand a vial filled with the demon's blood. It would be used to cure the blindness inflicted on the king and his men. The sixth labor was complete. The greatest monster defeated. Now only one remained. The final descent into the demon's stronghold and the rescue of the king. With the white demon slain and his enchanted blood in hand, Rostam and Olad descended into the heart of Mazandaran, a city built by demons, carved into black stone and lit by sickly blue fire. The air was thick with dread. Screams echoed from iron towers, and deep within, behind 1,000 walls and shadows, lay the prison of King Kaykavis and the blinded warriors of Persia. Rostam rode through the outer gates like a storm. He and Olad struck swiftly, scattering lesser demons, tearing through enchanted guards, never slowing. Word of the white demon's death had not yet reached the fortress. The enemy was unprepared for a living myth to come knocking at their door. Inside the prison, Kaykavis sat in chains. His once proud face was pale and weary. Beside him were his men, their eyes white from the demon's curse, their spirits nearly broken. Then, the ground trembled. The doors burst open, and Rostam stood there, blood-stained, blazing with fury, eyes like fire. "My king," he said, "your champion has come." The king wept. "I feared I would die in this darkness." Rostam approached with the vial of the demon's blood. As Olad held each man still, Rostam anointed their eyes. One by one, their vision returned. With every healed soldier, the spirit of Persia rekindled like a flame in dry grass. Then came the final stand. The surviving demon lords gathered at the city's gate, led by the sorcerer king of Mazandaran. He unleashed dark spells and summoned beasts of smoke. But it was too late. Rostam, his blade gleaming with vengeance, fought at the front, cutting through the enemy like fire through dry reeds. Beside him, Olad fought with honor. Behind them, the freed soldiers of Persia rose. The battle was brutal, but in the end, the city of demons fell. Kaykavis was restored to his throne. He offered Rostam gold, land, and crowns of glory. But Rostam asked for none of it. "I rode for my king, for my land," he said. "Not for reward, but for duty." With Raksh at his side and his legend now sealed in flame and stone, Rostam rode home. He had faced monsters of flesh, of shadow, of illusion, and of pride. He had bled and battled and endured, and in doing so, he became more than a hero. He became a symbol, a champion not just of Persia, but of what it means to fight for something greater than oneself. And so ends the tale of Rostam's 7 labors, a journey through darkness, danger, and destiny. But this is only one chapter in the great Shahnameh, Persia's epic of heroes and kings. Rostam's legacy lives on, in firelit stories, carved stone, and the spirit of a people who remember what it means to stand tall in the face of monsters. Which of Rostam's trials was your favorite? Would you have survived the dragon or seen through the sorceress's illusion? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to hear more legendary stories from across the globe, tales of courage, wit, and wonder, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. New epic adventures every week. See you in the next legend.